Just a quick video on checking your valve clearances. I just happen to have this engine on the bench, and it'll make it a lot easier to show how to do it rather than struggle with it in the bike. So this is an electric start engine, so it's got this inspection cover on the top here. So if you remove those two bungs, disappointingly on this Lifan engine, these nice chrome bungs are plastic, so be careful with them. So the flywheel was in there. There are marks on the flywheel to tell you when the engine is at top dead centre. So you'll need a 17mm socket to take these off and a 14 to do the flywheel. So we'll just take this one off. This is the inlet valve is under here. So you can see the tappet. Put a 14 in the flywheel and we'll just turn it over and look down inside there. Keep turning it until you see the mark. I'm going to have to get a torch so I can see what I'm doing. It's got one for the firing point for the ignition timing. You'll see a line with F on it, and a bit further on it will say T. There we are, there's the T. So you get that line where the T is directly in line with the middle of that hole. So we're now at top dead centre. So we found our T mark. So the motor is at top dead centre. I can feel a tiny bit of play in that inlet valve. Now the size is, this is a metric set of feeler gauges. Don't know if you can see that. 0.05. That's the clearance you need, and what I've done, I've bent the end just to make it easier to get in there. So what we're looking for is a nice tight sliding fit. Between the tappet, which is that part, and the thread, the valve stem itself, which is underneath. So we're a little bit loose on that one. It's not a nice sliding fit. If you can get one of these, this makes your life a lot easier. It's a proper cub. This will fit all the most small Honda engines, including the Lifan, which this is. So what you do, you put that over the, out of interest, that nut is a 9mm. If you haven't got one of these, just use a 9mm socket. So that fits through there, and you can hold and turn the tappet. So we'll just loosen that off. And if you loosen the nut, and you can keep this so that you don't adjust the tappet while you tighten it and loosen it. So we just want to tighten that a tad. You only need very small adjustments. And this is a very thin feeler gauge. It's a fiddly ass job, but it's one of those jobs that do need doing. Especially on these little engines that get a hard life. So we're gone a bit too tight with this one. Let's loosen it off. Just turn that back a fraction. You can tell by feel sometimes. As long as you can feel a bit of play there. You don't want these tightening up, which is what they tend to do. You'd think it would get big, the clearances would get bigger, but they don't, especially the exhaust. So it's still a bit tight. That's good. So it's a nice tight fit now, that feeler gauge. I can feel a little bit of play, so we'll call that one good. Now on the bike, the exhaust valve is a little bit awkward because you're working upside down. So unless you tip the bike upside down, you're going to have to work in a really awkward place. So I'm going to do that up before I forget. On a new engine, it's not, especially a Chinese one, it's not a bad idea to check the clearances. Just for peace of mind, really. I've got the engine propped up on a bit of wood, it's a bit dicey. So we're still at top dead centre. We've got a 0.05 feeler gauge again. And I can't get that in there. It does feel very tight. I'd rather it was slightly on the loose side than too tight. Because one thing you don't want your exhaust valve to close up. Because it will burn the valve out. It's just persistence, really, just a test of patience. Just got to keep going until you get it right. So we've got clearance there now, but it's still a little bit on the loose side. But what I'll do, I'll tighten it fully. Just check it again, because that will sometimes pull it in a little bit when you fully tighten it. Now that is perfect. It's just a nice sliding fit. I can feel it. Over time that will close up, but at least you've got peace of mind. You know your valve clearances aren't too tight. I'd much rather hear a little rattle and tick when your engine is dead quiet, then I would worry a little bit. So I hope you found that useful. Please check my other videos where I'll be fitting this 110 into my C90. Should be quite a good little series if you're thinking of upgrading your engine. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.